Netgear Nighthawk M6 promises fiber-like 5G in your pocket with Wi-Fi 6 up to 3.6 Gbps, 2.5 Gbps cellular speeds, and all-day battery. Either we've reached backpack-sized broadband nirvana, or we just paid $428.36 for portable disappointment. On paper it's unlocked, certified with major carriers, can connect 32 devices, has a 1 gig Ethernet port, a 2.4-inch touchscreen, and even boosts coverage to 2000 SQ/FT when you pull the battery. Sounds wild, but here's the thing, specs don't tell you how this behaves on real networks with real walls and real caps. I spent 2 weeks testing it across AT&T and T-Mobile, tried a Verizon SIM, ran it at home, in a coffee shop, and on a weekend road trip. I've put the direct link to check current pricing in the description, but before you click anything, let me show you what I discovered after a solid 2 weeks of testing. Here's what the M6 claims to do. It's pitched as your do-it-all 5G router for home, travel, and backup internet. Blazing fast 5G up to 2.5 Gbps, with Wi-Fi 6 up to 3.6 Gbps. Unlocked for all major US carriers. Certified on AT&T and T-Mobile. Connect up to 32 devices securely, safer than public Wi-Fi or phone hotspots. Long battery life up to 13 hours. Plus in-home performance mode with battery removed for 2000 SQ/FT coverage. Sounds promising, right? Pretty bold claims for a device with a 3.8-star rating on Amazon, but here's where things get interesting. Reality check, they claim up to 2.5 Gbps. What you actually get is sub-6 GHz 5G that swings anywhere from 100 Mbps in weak areas to 800 plus Mbps in strong mid-band. Here's why. The M6 runs Qualcomm's Snapdragon X62 modem, which is excellent, but this model does not do MWave and its Ethernet port is only 1 gig. So even if you saw multi-gig cellular, rare, you physically can't push more than about 940 Mbps over wired, and Wi-Fi overhead keeps real wireless throughput lower. My peak was 1.1 Gbps down on T-Mobile N41 standing near a tower. Average in the city hovered 300-600 Mbps. Suburban dropped to 150-300. That's fast, but it's not the 2.5 Gbps fantasy on the box. They claim it works with all carriers. What you actually get is smooth sailing on AT&T and T-Mobile and a coin flip on Verizon. Here's why. Verizon tends to whitelist IMEIs. Some users get 5G right away, others get stuck on LTE or cannot activate at all without a phone first, then SIM swap. In my test, a Verizon postpaid SIM only pulled LTE until I called in and used a BYOD workaround. So yes, unlocked, but not the seamless switcheroo the marketing implies. That's not switching, that's expensive confusion. They claim 13 hours of battery life. What you actually get is 6-9 hours under real hotspot use and 3-5 hours if you push 4K streaming on multiple devices. Here's why. Wi-Fi 6 plus 5G radios chew power and the unit throttles transmit power with the battery inserted to meet SAR thermal limits. With light browsing on 2 laptops, I hit about 8 hours. With 4 devices streaming and a game update, it dipped to 4 hours and the chassis got warm. They claim 2000 SQ/FT coverage in in-home mode. What you actually get is noticeably better range when you remove the battery and run off wall power, but not magic whole home coverage through multiple walls. Here's why. Removing the battery lets the M6 boost Wi-Fi power and thermal headroom. In my 1600 SQ/FT apartment, 5 GHz reached most rooms at usable speeds. 2.4 GHz made it further but slower. Through 2 thick walls, 5 GHz dropped off hard. It's fine for apartments, RVs, or as a temporary backup, but for a multi-floor house you'll still want to feed a proper router or mesh via Ethernet. They say 32 devices. What you actually get is 32 connections, but performance scales down. Here's why. Each client adds airtime overhead. At 20 devices in my test, smart plugs, cameras, 2 laptops, phones, a TV, peak throughput halved and latency spiked into the 60-90 ms range. Still usable but not buttery. Gaming folks note, carriers use CGNAT, so you'll often see strict NAT. IP pass-through on the M6 helps double NAT but not CGNAT from your provider. One more plot twist. Data counters, the M6 lets you track usage, but mine was 5-10% off versus the carrier portal over a week. Close enough for a heads up, not for avoiding overage fees. Speed and connectivity. The X62 modem is the star here. On T-Mobile midband, I saw 500-800 Mbps down midday with 6120 Mbps up, low jitter. AT&T C-band near downtown clocked 350-600 Mbps. Over Ethernet you top out near 940 Mbps. Wi-Fi 6 single-client tests hit 600-700 Mbps at 10 feet line of sight, about 200-300 Mbps 2 rooms away. If you need multi-gig LAN or Wi-Fi 6E, the M6 Pro variant adds 2.5 GBE and 6 GHz but costs more. Battery life. Netgear rates it up to 13 hours. My realistic range was 6-9 hours mixed use at medium brightness with 5 GHz only, dropping to 4-6 hours with multiple streams. In hot cars or direct sun, expect thermal throttling and earlier shutdown. For stationary setups, pull the battery and plug in, range and stability improve. Build and thermals. Compact, sturdy, clear 2.4-inch touchscreen. It warms up under load, a ventilated spot helps. 2 TS9 ports hide under a flap for external MIMO antennas. Rural users, this is clutch. With a directional antenna aimed at band N41, my weak site speeds jumped from 45 to 210 Mbps. Software and setup. Setup is straightforward, the UI is simple, and features like IP pass-through, guest Wi-Fi, and basic traffic controls are there. It plays nicely as a WAN feed for a mesh system. What the marketing does not mention, Verizon activation can be messy and the usage meter is an estimate. Also, you are still bound by your carrier's deprioritization and hotspot caps on many plans. User feedback. With a 3.8-star Amazon rating, patterns emerge. Praise for speed and convenience on T-Mobile and AT&T. Complaints about Verizon activation, heat under stress, and battery not matching the marketing. That lines up with my testing. Verdict, buy with caution. At 428.36, the Nighthawk M6 is a powerful, flexible 5G hotspot for travelers, RVers, small apartments, and as a backup internet line. Pros: strong sub-6 5G speeds, Wi-Fi 6, Ethernet, external antenna ports, in-home mode that actually helps. Cons: 1 gig Ethernet bottleneck, inconsistent Verizon experience, real battery life well below 13 hours, and performance drop with many devices. Worth it if you live on AT&T or T-Mobile midband and want a secure, portable connection or a failover for your router. Skip this if you need multi-gig wired, rock-solid Verizon plug-and-play, or whole home coverage from a single box. Stay savage out there, thanks for watching. If this review saved you from wasting money or helped you find something actually worth buying, I've put the link to check current pricing and read more reviews in the description. And hey, if you do decide to buy through my link, it helps fund these investigations without costing you extra. Got questions about bands, antennas, or plan caps? Drop them in the comments. Next up, I'm stress testing the M6 Pro against a peplink in a moving RV to see which one survives. See you in the next deep dive.